What's good, y'all? If you read the title of this video, you already know where we're going with this. We're going to be talking about the quote that is, "Day trading is patched." So I'm kind of just making this video because I hope to save one person that keeps making this mistake over and over. Hopefully they can take some accountability and grow from this and fix this problem to help move their journey forward. And I also just got to yap about this, bro. It's kind of rage baiting me, so I've been wanting to talk about it. And I'll give you some context. So basically, imagine me, I'm done trading. This is yesterday morning after the New York session. I didn't take a trade because price action was not ideal. So boom, this is me sitting on TikTok in the morning. I'm seeing one person talk about, oh, day trading's patched, price action sucks. I'm like, okay, whatever, keep scrolling, don't care. And then boom, I see another one. I get to like my third or fourth video, and I'm like, bro, people need to learn to take some accountability and to not blame price action so much. That's what I'm thinking at first. And then I'm kind of getting into it and I'm thinking, coming into this week, I already knew that price action wasn't going to be the best. And let me back up a little bit. Obviously, I'm not like a market maker. I'm not perfect. I didn't know with 100% confidence that price action wasn't going to be perfect, but I had good conviction to believe that. And it's for one main reason. That reason being that we had FOMC this Wednesday. And why did I know that? Or why did I have good enough reason to believe that? This is because every single time we have these big news events, they generally happen during like midweek, right? We got CPI, PPI, FOMC, NFP. Every time we get these midweek news events, the price action on the days before, leading up to them, generally tends to be choppy, tends to be slow, less volume, everything, right? It's not great. This happens almost every single time. I would say at least 95% of the time we have these events, the price action is different before them versus after. If you have any experience trading, if you spend some time trading, you'll realize that trading conditions are not always the best right before these news events. So if this keeps happening over and over again, as a trader that relies on price action, so that's going to be for a lot of strategies. As a continuation trader, I'm heavily relying on the price action to be good. If you trade even SMC concepts, you care, but a lot of strategies do rely on the price action heavy. So if you're trading a way that relies on price action and you know the price action isn't going to be great, why do you keep blowing your accounts and then blaming it on price action? Yes, maybe it was the price action's fault, but you knew better than to enter into those trades. You're way smarter than that. You know that coming up into these news events, we're probably going to have bad, slow days before. So if there's not a good setup, why are you forcing it? Stop blaming price action and start taking the accountability and blaming yourself and realizing that maybe I shouldn't have taken that trade. I only took 2 trades the entire week. The first one was on Monday. It was not even on my good account. I have my top sub account where I take really good trades that are really safe. On my alpha account, I take less safe trades, and I took a less safe trade on Monday because it wasn't perfect, but it was something I was willing to risk money on at least. And then I also took another trade today after FOMC, and that was also on my alpha account. So I would say there was not super clean price action this week, but I was able to at least identify that and not force bad trades. And that's one thing that separates a lot of good traders from bad traders. They might take similarly good wins, but you're also taking so many additional L's that a good trader is not taking. I'm not going to consider myself the best trader, whatever, but I definitely am further ahead than a lot of people, and I'm able to identify these really shitty days with bad price action and avoid them because it's just not worth blowing accounts and risking capital on these days when I'm relying on price action and I know the price action's not going to be great and I see it and it's not looking great. Then why would I force it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna lie, maybe I'm just getting rage baited. A lot of the time when people are putting that in their YouTube or TikTok or whatever, maybe they're just looking for clicks, the engagement bait, but I'm falling for it if they are, or if they're being for real, maybe, I don't know. I'm just, I'm not actually mad because at the end of the day, I don't really care what people do, but I'm trying to help better the people that are watching my videos. And if you do watch my videos and if you're learning to trade continuation or that seems interesting to you, please listen to what I'm saying. Please try and avoid these bad days. And I'm not saying just don't even wake up for them. Don't necessarily sleep through them, but get up and do your due diligence. Look at the markets. And if they don't look good, don't be as anxious to trade. It's okay to not take a trade. A lot of really good traders that trade continuation are not trading every single day. A lot of the time, I am only taking a couple of trades a week, and I'm profitable. So if that tells you anything, hopefully hopefully you can learn something from that, you know. And what's also funny about this is every time these news events happen, we and generally will get a clean day after. So on a day like today, I would say that I saw a lot of good trades, a lot of opportunity. I was able to take a trade, and then everyone's going to talk about, bro, you know, trading is so easy. Trading is so clean. The markets were so good. Like, this literally happens every time. It's like the same predictable pattern. Everyone says trading's patched. It's so bad. The news happens, and then boom, right after, a lot of the time it gets better, and then people are like, wow, trading's so good again. And I guarantee this isn't going to change in a couple weeks from now when we have our big whatever next news event, or I don't know when the next one is, but the next time it happens, people are going to do the same exact thing. It's going to come and they're going to be like, bro, trading's so bad, trading's patched, like, and then they give up and whatever. So like I said, if you're learning from me, I want you guys to hopefully get the best knowledge. You know, as someone that puts out content, I'm trying to put out the best possible content for people trying to learn from me. So hopefully you can learn something from what I'm saying, and you can learn to avoid these bad days, especially when you're relying so hard on price action. That's like one really important thing that matters to me, is how clean the price action is. So if it's not looking good, I want to avoid it. So please take notes on that. Now, with that aside, we get into the trade recap for the day. So coming into this day, I've talked about this a lot recently, right? We're at all-time highs. We already know that we want to look for longs around all-time highs. So this is the hourly close of this candle. I don't like that it shows this, because this shows us being a lot more bullish than we actually were. I would still say that we were really bullish on the higher time frame, but like coming into the day, you'll see that on the hourly, this close shows that we were at 697, but we were down another like 20 points. So obviously still bullish, but I would debate that shorts like didn't even look horrible. You definitely could have took some shorts today and made some money. I almost took shorts, but they did not work out. So I did mark out some lower draws just as something to take note of. So we had this gap, but the problem was the gap had been filled. So I wasn't really looking super hard for this gap, but I just noticed that it was below, but more importantly, this low here. So something that I was paying attention to, but I wasn't super like locked in unless we got really good delivery toward it. So then market opened, bro, I hate the fucking bar replay. It's spoiling everything. But basically, we started getting some moves to the downside, and I kind of, as you'll see from a lot of my trading, I'm sitting on the 5 minute, sitting on the 15 minute. When we're worried about like trading continuation, trading trends, we're not just looking at the 1 minute. You're going to get manipulated crazy if you sit on the 1 minute, because you might think, oh, we're looking at longs here or something because we're only moving up. If you go on to the 5 minute, it's clear that we're moving down. So you want to sit on a slightly higher time frame to get a better scope of what's going on. So like I said, higher time frame, way higher time frame, we're definitely bullish. But seeing these downward moves, I'm looking like, you know, shorts don't look terrible here. I'm peeping the 15 minute, and we have this gap that gets tapped into, and then we're rejecting hard. I mean, we have a couple fair value gaps to pay attention to the left, but otherwise there's not really anything else from stopping us going lower. And I would assume, since we're already bought up pretty high, we might need to see a retrace before coming higher. So initially, shorts were not looking terrible. I won't lie, probably after this close, I was thinking if we get a decent retrace, I would definitely be open to some shorts. I didn't want to take them on my top step though, just because higher time frame, like I said, since I was super bullish, I don't think it would have been like necessarily an A+ trade, but definitely still a high level trade if we got a good retrace out of this. So I see we did start retracing, I think here, and boom, that retrace unfortunately stopped being a retrace and just started to like totally invalidate this move. So once we had this candle, unless we got like a fat rejection out of here all the way down, I wouldn't really want to look to short at that point because we're so far gone. So we just totally started reversing. Once this candle hit, I decided I didn't want shorts anymore unless we just formed something like absolutely beautiful. So no shorts out of here, unfortunately. I saw a lot of people take longs off of this. Here, I'll show you. Boom. I saw a lot of people, once we came down here, they were really confident in longs toward the all-time highs. So once we bought back up, got a retrace, and then started coming out of that, I saw people start buying here. But I'm not going to lie, for me, since we came down and like edged this low and we had all these gaps to the left. Although I wanted all-time highs, I definitely wanted to see more confirmation before longing up there. And like, look at this higher time frame. It looks really good for longs, but still, like I said, I just kind of wanted to see something, maybe like a 5-minute close. Here, I'll mark out the all-time highs to show you. All-time highs were here. I wanted to see like a 5-minute close above these highs here to confirm that we're coming higher. That's just what I wanted to see. But unfortunately, we did not yet have that. If you did take longs down here, good for you because you bankrolled, but I wanted to see that happen first. So we'll come to the 5-minute. We eventually closed above here. So I was ready for longs once we got this closure, and I was just waiting for the retrace. So you'll see we just started gunning toward these longs, like ES and NQ. At this point, there is no retrace, like literally no retrace once we closed above, just straight up. I mean, we had one red candle, but I would not call this a retrace I'm looking for. So I'm not gonna lie, the old me may have just hopped off the charts at this point, but since we're at all-time highs, I noticed that on ES, we did not take out the all-time highs yet. So I'm thinking if this just continues higher, if we're able to get a good retrace play, I'm comfortable longing. And I don't really like trading ES, so I prefer NQ. I'm comfortable longing just up, keep going up. You know, we're at all-time highs. I imagine we're going to be bullish until we start showing signs of wanting to come down. I'm comfortable longing. So we got a small, small little set of selling pressure after we got the all-time highs, but then started coming up again. And let's see, where was the entry? Hold on, let me make sure okay, it was off of this here. We came higher. This kind of confirmed to me that we wanted to continue higher. If you look at the 5-minute, I like closures. Like when we get closures above liquidity points, that's normally a better sign of continuation. Obviously, just because we get a 5-minute closure above this doesn't mean we're gonna keep mooning. But like if I look at the 15-minute, 5-minute, they're showing that we want to close, that we closed above this. So I'm liking a continuation here. So boom, off this, we got a little invalidation. Didn't quite inverse this gap. Maybe you could have waited for the inversion, but showing this little retrace back to the upside, I assumed we wanted to push higher. So I just decided to long out of this. And in terms of stop loss, unfortunately, since we didn't really have like a great place to put it, like you could maybe set it a little bit into this gap, but I didn't really like that risk. So I honestly just put I did like a 20-point stop because it was pretty much these 5-minute like body candles down here was a 20-point stop. And then if you watch my last video talking about all-time highs, I talked about, you know, sometimes your stop loss is going to have to be kind of arbitrary coming into all-time highs. You might put it at a certain point for whatever reason, but for me, I'm just looking at something that looks like a plausible risk to reward. So in this case, I just did a 1 to 1.5 R. That was what I was comfortable risking. And looking at ES at this point, we still hadn't taken out these highs. So my thought process was my current risk to reward is probably about where ES is going to take out its all-time highs, and at that point I probably want to be out. And the most important thing is just that we go break even once we hit this, because at that point we've created a new all-time high and I don't really know if we're going to keep going higher. So to play out a few candles here, you'll see, I think, okay, yeah, so first candle did take out that break-even point. So at that point just went break even. This is a little bit quick to go break even because I think we're only 10 points up, or about, yeah, so we got up almost 15 points. But the problem is, like I said, when we have swept out a new all-time high, at this point I can't really promise that we're going to continue higher because we've taken out the new all-time high point. We expect to be bullish at all-time highs, but eventually we do need to retrace. So I do want to be no longer having risk on the table, and unfortunately we had a pretty early break even, but in this case it didn't matter because I think it just kept heading up. We had a little bit of like slow volume here, but honestly, just a retrace into that gap before coming higher and taking out the draw. So for this trade, I took this one mini on my alpha account. I'll show you P&L 604.40. It was about 30 points, probably 30.25 or whatever. That's where the $5 came from. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something from this trade today. Hopefully you're able to learn from my yap a little bit. Remember, the main takeaway from this is if you're someone learning from me, I want to better the community. So please don't be adding to the bullshit in the trading community. I hope you're taking accountability, and I hope you realize that if you can learn to take accountability with your stuff, you are going to create such a better situation for yourself. You're going to have so much more progress because you realize that not everything is just out to get you. Sometimes you just got to change the way you approach things. It's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to not change those things. So that's the main takeaway from this, and hopefully you learned something from the trade I took as well. Pretty easy play, just heavy continuation retrace, boom. So thank you again if you made it through this whole video. This might end up being kind of a long one. I was yapping a lot, but I'll try and cut it up. So thank you for watching the video. Drop a like, whatever. Appreciate you for being here. Have a good one.